Hi everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Phil and I'm a senior lecturer in astrophysics at the University of Lincoln, and I want to kind of do this short video looking at galaxies and something known as photometric dropout. And we are mostly going to consider galaxies here because other astronomical objects are not normally kind of luminous or big enough to see at such large distances where this effect is kind of seen. Now that might happen for some other very bright objects, but it's mostly concerned really with the galaxies, and it's known as photometric dropout. So just to kind of recap on what a galaxy is, so these are massive systems made of stars, gas, dust, also dark matter, and they're gravitationally bound together. Some of those are rotation supporters, so they're rotating like a disk. Others are more spherical, they have more like higher velocity dispersion, so random motions of the stars, and depending on the type of galaxy, the size of galaxy, the age, the evolutionary phase of it, it will have different ratios of stars, gas, dust, different populations of stars. But anyway, these are kind of massive objects, and yeah, mostly made of stars, gas, and other materials, stuff like that, and they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Most of these here we would probably classify it as like disk-like galaxies because they're kind of rotation supported, but you've got the other types. And again, I'm not going to focus too much on this for this video. You can check out some of the other videos to get more of an idea on the different types of galaxies that we actually have. So, photometry then. So I think I've done some other videos looking at photometry, but that's mostly probably been focused on looking at planets, how we discover exoplanets and things like that. But just to kind of recap or let you know if you're not aware of what photometry is. So photometry is the measurement of the brightness or intensity of light of an astronomical object. So we're basically going to look how bright the object is, measure how bright it is. That's essentially photometry. It's also kind of, you can think of it as like taking an image of something, measuring its brightness, and that's essentially, yeah, photometry. Something like astrometry will be taking an image and calculating its actual precise position as opposed to its actual brightness. That's kind of what we're referring to when we're looking at photometry. Now, with photometry, you do have different filters, and they're quite broadband. So this is a galaxy here. So this is Galaxy NGC 1512, and in different photometric filters, you see slightly different things. So you starting kind of ultraviolet down at the lower left-hand side and rotating around the outer edge all the way to infrared. So we can use different filters in different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum, and these are known as photometric filters. It depends on the telescope that you've got, what you actually want to look for what photometric filter you might actually use. So here you go. For example, if we're looking in the ultraviolet to the UV, then that's going to be somewhat biased to younger, more massive stars. They emit quite strongly in the ultraviolet part of the spectrum. And as we kind of go around, all the way around to the infrared, you're looking more at the older stars there, but also kind of like the warm dust, that sort of thing. So again, it depends what you want to have a look at. And a galaxy or an object is going to be brighter or dimmer in a certain filter depending on what's going off there. So if a galaxy is comprised of lots of young, hot, massive stars, it'll be quite bright in the UV filter. And if it's the other way around, it might be an older galaxy, it might be brighter in the infrared one instead. So just to kind of give you an idea of these different filters, or you'd basically put that on your telescope somewhere before the actual camera to filter out those lights. And it would look a little bit like this. Now, this is an example of the James Webb Space Telescope and some of the photometric filters that it uses there. So you've got wavelength along the bottom. You've then got kind of the filter throughput, so the kind of the transmission really. What light is it letting through as a function of wavelength? So you put those different filters on. Some of those are denoted as W, which means it's a wide filter. Some of those are M, medium filter. Wide basically means that it's, it covers quite a range of wavelengths. Medium, slightly narrower, and you can have really narrow band ones as well. But typically, photometric filters are quite broadband. And if you are a professional astronomer or you end up doing that, depending on what telescope, what observatory you might end up using, they typically have their own photometric filter system because, again, they are designed and tweaked to look for certain things. So if you're looking for asteroids, you'll want a different photometric filter set compared to if you're looking for galaxies. So it all depends on what you're doing, what telescope it's designed, what its main mission would be. But typically they look a bit like this. That's how they kind of transmit only a certain amount of light through, but they can be quite broadband as opposed to narrowband. So going back to our galaxies then, if we're on Earth, we're looking out into the sky, we're looking at galaxies. The galaxies are all located at different distances from us. The ones closest to us, even if they're exactly the same size, the same type of galaxy, they're going to appear brighter. As they get further away, they'll get dimmer and fainter. And that's because less of those photons are reaching us. So very distant galaxies are going to be very hard to see anyway, because those photons are spread out over a larger area. They've travelled further, they're going to get scattered and they're going to disperse elsewhere, essentially. So we get less photons reaching us for the same amount of time when they're further away. So fainter galaxies basically further away. Now, going to the universe, so again, scaling up even bigger, this is kind of an example of, well, the timeline, I suppose, of the universe from Big Bang all the way over on the left-hand side, all the way to present day. And the bit we're kind of interested in is more so on the right. So redshift 0 is kind of present day. And as we get higher redshift along the bottom there, it also correlates to age. Then they're further away, essentially. So we can go back to like 1 billion years after the Big Bang. That's when you're going to start to possibly get our first, galaxies, stars, luminous objects, potentially. And then after that, they kind of evolve into the current ones that we have. So the important thing really to note here is the more distant a galaxy is, it's also going to be more redshifted. So what do we basically mean by redshifted? Well, the universe is expanding, and as those photons, those wavelengths of light travel from the galaxy to us, the stretching of the universe, well, the expansion of the universe stretches the wavelength. It makes it longer. So the further away a galaxy is, the more the wavelength is stretched. What does that do? Well, the stretching and the lengthening of the wavelength emitted by that particular object gets redder. So a more distant galaxy is going to appear redder than one closer to us, even if it's exactly the same type of galaxy, same size, everything. It will appear redder because of the expansion of the universe. It will also appear dimmer because it's further away as well. So we've got kind of a bit of a two-part problem there. We've got dimmer galaxies, and their spectrum of light is shifted more towards the red part of the spectrum. And that's the bit we're interested in for this particular video. So if we look at the actual spectrum then of some galaxies, so the spectrum here is the intensity of light that a galaxy is emitting as a function of wavelength. And there's 3 galaxies here, or essentially it's the same galaxy at different redshifts. So at the bottom, that is one that's kind of really nearby, an elliptical galaxy. It's got a redshift of 0, so Z equals 1, and then it's redshifted to 0.4, and then 0.7 as we get to the top. What that's doing is it's kind of moving the entire spectrum of light emitted by that galaxy more towards the red part of the spectrum. So those wavelengths get longer and it becomes redder, essentially. Now, in the background of that, so the black line is actually the spectrum. Behind that, you've got like the U, G, R, I, Z, and they're the photometric filters that are being used on this particular measurement here. And you can see that actually, if you look at Z equals 0, then the photometric filters are going to pick up light from that galaxy on all of them. But as you get more and more redshifted, things like the U and the G are going to get no light at all from that galaxy. So ultraviolet, green part of the spectrum, is no longer there. So we would classify those galaxies as dropping out of those photometric filters. They basically become invisible at that wavelength because they're being redshifted so much because they're so far away. So again, looking from Earth, if we're looking at very, very distant galaxies in certain filters, so like the bluer end of the filter of the photometric system, these galaxies essentially become invisible to us. If we look at the redder filters, we'd still see them, but in the bluer ones, they're going to drop out, and this is known as photometric dropout, and it's more applicable to galaxies than other objects because they're big objects, they're bright objects, and we can see them at greater distances. We're not going to see an individual star or a planet at such distances, so it's mostly related to these galaxies, this particular thing, I suppose, mechanism, process. Anyway, so thank you for watching. If you enjoy the videos, then do consider becoming a member of the channel. There's extra videos in the member section, but it also helps support the channel. So thank you for watching.